Hey guys, so I want to kind of talk to people who are either brand new to MBTI and just took a test, and people who have been interested in MBTI for a long time and still have not been able to find their type. So I want to give advice to both of those groups, clear up some misconceptions, um, just uh, kind of help clear up some things that people always seem to get confused about in the beginning when they're trying to find their type, finding themselves, trying to understand the cognitive theory, um, just basic things like that, okay? So the first thing I kind of want to go over uh, to you guys is, well, to cut to the chase, you really, really should not rely on online tests and other people to tell you what your type is, okay? Because, I mean, it seems obvious, but you are the person that knows you best. And it doesn't really matter how long of a paragraph you write on Personality Cafe asking, hey guys, this is me, what's my type, based on this essay that I wrote. They still don't know you. You're still just another person on the internet to them. And it doesn't matter how many questions you answer on a test, because in the end, that's a limited number of questions, and and because of this, the test can only give you a limited result. Now, another person or a test can sort of point you in maybe the right direction of what you could be. However, please don't make the mistake of taking a test result or another person's analysis of you as fact. In the end, you're going to have to actually understand cognitive theory, what the functions are, what you are actually using as opposed to what you want to be using. And once you develop that kind of self awareness, finding your type will be easy. So, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it uh, for that for that problem. Uh, I know a lot of people that are new to this system in Jungian theory. I mean, they just want it to be easy, right? A lot of people just want to be given an answer like, okay, what am I? Please tell me what I am already. And I understand that, certainly. I mean, I did the same thing when I was new to the system like 7 years ago. And I would do that too. I would post all over forums constantly asking, okay, but I do these things and I act this way and I have these interests and people have told me this. Can you guys figure it out for me, please? Um, yeah, I advise against this. You have to learn how to figure yourself out. Like, other people cannot tell you who you are, truly. So, with that out of the way, I want to clear up some other misconceptions. A lot of people who are new to MBTI don't even really understand what it's supposed to measure. Um, some people get the idea that MBTI is supposed to measure, uh, like your entire being, like your whole self. and they make it to be a lot bigger than it actually is. And a lot of people also have the idea that, well, I can just change my type, right? Um, I can change type depending on where I am in my life. And uh, in response to that point, um, in my personal opinion, I'm not going to state this as um, any kind of uh, determined fact, but from what I've observed, from what I've read and experienced myself, I I personally don't think that you can actually change your type. I think that it is more of a nature thing versus a nurture thing, if that makes sense. Um, your personality, I mean, as you've probably heard before, is a combination of nature and nurture. Nurture being your experiences, your background, um, your belief system, the things that you have gone through that have shaped you as a person over time. And MBTI doesn't really have any connection to those things. MBTI is more a measurement of your own built in hardwired system. Okay? Most people, I say most people, but uh, let me rephrase that. Most highly well read people on the subject that I have listened to seem to believe that your MBTI type is either determined in the womb or or determined at a very early age. And uh, I don't think there's a lot of evidence to show that it's something that can actually be truly changed over time. I think I think you can kind of think of it as your own personal CPU, the type of processing system that you use to um, take in the world and make judgments on what you process. Um, I'm going to touch more on this in later videos. I know people are probably going to be like, well, what evidence do you have for this claim? Blah, blah, blah. But that is actually a subject for a completely different video. So I will leave it there for now. Um, so, MBTI it's both fluid and mechanical at the same time. It's a little paradoxical in that sense. Um, so, I want to talk about um, some other misconceptions that people might have. I want to talk about stereotypes and the purpose of them and the dangers of relying on them when finding your own type. So I would like to emphasize that you can have two people that are the same exact type that are still wildly different individuals. So, an example of this would be you can have two ESTJs, and one of them can be a super conservative evangelical Baptist, and the other one can be a hardcore leftist, like I don't know, tree hugging hippie, whatever. Um, like you can yeah. So I know that's a really stupid way to phrase it, but you get my point though. You can have two people of the same type that come to completely different conclusions. Okay, However, the similarity comes in how they reach those separate conclusions. So those two people, they're going to come to those different conclusions using similar methods of processing and judgment. Okay? That's pretty much where the similarity is. Now I can reverse this example, and you can have two people of totally different MBTI types that end up coming to the same conclusion. They both have the same exact belief structure, but they're going to reach that conclusion with completely different methods. Okay, so let me give an example to kind of to try to illustrate this idea. So there's this really bad stereotype out there that all ISFPs are really artsy. Like, if you're an ISFP, you must like art. Well, that's BS. Any type can be artsy. Any type can enjoy art. They'll just enjoy them for different reasons, different motivations, using different modes of processing. So you can have an ISFP and an ENTJ who both are both artists. Okay. In fact, let's take this a step further. Let's say that this ENTJ and ISFP, they both create the same exact style of art. They both have completely similar art styles. They both like the same thing. They both express themselves with the same medium. Okay? But they do so for different reasons. So, my point. When you are trying to find your type, if you're trying to determine what cognitive functions you are using, do not ask yourself, am I this type because I'm an artist? No. You need to ask yourself, well, why am I an artist? Why do I express myself in this way? What purpose am I expressing myself for? What do I get out of it? What methods do I use? What processes am I using to achieve this art style? Those are the questions that you have to ask. Okay? So that's kind of that's a big problem that a lot of people face, is that they read these terrible online descriptions of the MBTI types, and I can't tell you how many, like, for example, like ESTJs that I have met who think that like they think that but they don't think that they're an ESTJ. Why? Well, because they're too artsy, because they like art. They're thinking, oh, well, I'm really artsy, so that's not really an ESTJ thing. I don't think I'm an ESTJ. That is the absolute wrong mindset to have. Any type can be an artist. Any type can be an engineer. Any type can like math or philosophy or be religious. Okay? Any type can like anything. or have any kind of hobby or any kind of career, but they're going to do those things for different reasons. So, the biggest piece of advice I have to people that are having a hard time finding their type, don't ask yourself, well, what am I doing? Ask yourself, why am I doing this thing? I had I had someone who was trying to find their type. He was talking to me, and because he wanted me to help him out with it, and he he was trying to decide whether he was an ISTJ or an ISFJ, and other people had told him that they believed that he was an ISFJ. Why? Because when he was growing up, he always obeyed his father. And he took the career path that his father instructed him to take. And people labeled this behavior as something only an ISFJ would do. But I asked him why. Why did you obey your father? Why didn't you? Why didn't you carve your own path? So what was your reasoning for that? And he said, well, you know what? I really wasn't like trying to please my dad. I wasn't doing it out of fear that he would disapprove at all. I didn't care about pleasing my dad. I listened to my dad and I did what he instructed because I genuinely thought that he was right. And I thought that his ideas were logical. And when I listened to his instructions, when he suggested that I become a doctor, I agreed because I was like, yeah, yeah, sure, a doctor makes a lot of money. That's what I want to do. He followed his dad's instructions not because he's an extroverted feeler, but because he saw those things as essential to getting to where he needed to be. That is an extroverted thinking quality. And that was actually kind of the deciding factor that made me say, yeah, that's a very ISTJ thing to say. I mean, that is kind of the mindset that an extroverted thinker would have in making their decisions. So, yeah, I know I might sound like I'm repeating myself a lot. That's a really bad quality that I have, and I'm really sorry if I come across like uh, um, I'm beating people across the head with what I say. But I do it because I think it's really important. I think it is like extremely essential for new people to understand that stereotypes, uh, while they exist for a reason, they are not to be relied upon when trying to determine your type. There actually is another piece of advice, however, that is also applicable. It is to be used carefully. Uh, but I would add that if you match absolutely none of the stereotypes uh, of a test result that you got, like if you just don't identify at all whatsoever, I think it's safe to say that you're probably clear for that type. You can probably dismiss it. Um. So let's see what else. Yeah, I definitely plan to um. I definitely plan to touch more on these kinds of subjects to help new people try to find their types, and I'm sorry, my train of thought. I'm doing this all spontaneously. It's all unscripted, so I say a lot. Um, yeah, I'm probably going to end this video and then immediately think, oh crap, I absolutely should have said this somewhere in the video, but I guess I'm not going to worry about it for now. That's all I got so far. If I think of anything else, I'll just make another video, I guess. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later. I hope that was somewhat helpful. Uh, Peace.